Aldo's quantum mechanics a framework built not on assumption, but on logical necessity. First, something cannot come from nothing. If there were ever truly nothing, there would still be nothing. So something must have always existed. This something isn't a particle, a universe, or a god, it's an eternal substance, the backdrop of all that is. Next, change exists. We observe motion, transformation, cause and effect. But change implies energy. If change happens now, and has always happened, then energy itself must be eternal, woven into the nature of this eternal substance. So how does this eternal energy behave? The simplest, most natural motion in a continuous medium is wave-like. AQM proposes that this energy flows in two decompression waves expanding and folding within a gelatinous, tension-filled medium. Think of it as a living field, elastic and ever responsive. Now, within this oscillating field, pressure isn't uniform. The center of these motions builds up the greatest pressure, due to symmetry and cumulative force. But nature balances extremes. That pressure doesn't collapse, it meets resistance, forming what AQM calls the pushback region. In this pushback region, something profound happens. Energy doesn't just explode outward, it twists. Torsion oscillations emerge, like tightly coiled springs spinning and releasing energy through space. These torsional modes are how the eternal field vents pressure without chaos. They aren't random, they're the seeds of structure. This brings us to the onion ripple layers. As the pressure ripples outward from the center, it creates concentric feedback zones like layers in an onion. Torsion nodes, moving through these zones, don't just passively ride the wave. They interact with the layers. The layers shape the torsion, and the torsion reshapes the layers. This interaction creates feedback loops, dynamic zones where only certain torsion patterns can exist stably. These patterns become convergent solutions, self-stabilizing twists of energy logged into specific forms. These are particles. Particles, in AQM, are not eternal, they are finite convergences. They exist because they satisfy the pressures and feedback of the field. Their identity, mass, spin, charge comes from the way they twist through specific layers. This finiteness is essential. It allows them to interact, combine, and form larger systems. From these finite building blocks arise all higher forms: atoms, molecules, stars, and eventually, galaxies. Galaxies are the large-scale expression of the same torsion convergence principles, just at cosmic scales. Though individual galaxies may live and die, the universal conditions that form them are eternal. This is why galaxies are seen in all directions, throughout time. They are not copies, they are recurring results of the same field logic. So in summary, Aldo's quantum mechanics deduces the universe as follows. 1. Substance is eternal because nothing cannot give rise to something. 2. Energy is eternal, since change is real and requires energy. 3. Eternal energy manifests as two decompression waves in a gelatinous field. 4. The center of this dynamic builds intense pressure. 5. That pressure forms at pushback region to relieve stress. 6. Torsion oscillations emerge as stable release forms. 7. These torsions pass through rippled onion layers, forming feedback zones. 8. Feedback loops between torsion and layer select stable patterns, convergent solutions. 9. These convergences are finite particles, bound by field rules. 10. Finite particles combine into larger structures, governed by the same logic. 11. Galaxies arise from these convergences, finite themselves, but eternally present, because the field continuously allows their re-emergence. In essence, AQM shows us that the universe doesn't need an external creator or beginning. The eternal field and its internal dynamics, pressure, torsion, and convergence naturally give rise to the finite agents we call particles. And from these, the cosmos unfolds again and again. So while particles are finite, they make infinite regression possible not by carrying time backwards, but by giving time structure through constraint. Eternity doesn't express itself through permanence, it expresses itself through repeatable, stable emergence. Something as simple as notes that are line of poles, kept together by its poles. Counter-rotating from node adjacent top and bottom. A 1D filament of torsion oscillating nodes. Perhaps overlapping in keyring-like fashion. Where one end is one node and the other is two nodes for a total of 3 overlap, for keyring emergence, 2 and 3 for 5, 3 and 4 for 7. Primes that act as flavors. This is but one example for how oscillating torsions may have repeatable emergence which inevitably reaches the highest of scales, the entire universe itself. In this fashion we see the vision of Aldo's quantum mechanics, a simple explanation as to why the universe exists and why it keeps becoming eternally the same.